Autism in higher education. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. This is an umbrella term for disorders that used to be separate, like classic autism, Asperger's syndrome, childhood disintegrative disorder, and pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. People with ASD tend to struggle with transitions due to sensory sensitivities, a preference for routine and predictability, and social and communication skills. There are three main areas in which students with ASD struggle with in college, and these are the college environment, social life, and preparedness from high school. Students with ASD usually have sensory sensitivities in a classroom setting. These often include visual issues like bright lights, flickering lights, and visual clutter, auditory issues like loud noises, background noises, or auditory processing disorder, which is the difficulty processing spoken words in an overstimulating environment, or tactile issues like aversion to specific textures, avoiding being touched, or needing to seek deep pressure. Students with ASD also lack skills needed to live on their own, like social skills, self-advocacy, and executive functioning. These skills are crucial for navigating daily life, building relationships, and fulfilling goals. These students don't often have a proper support system to assist with their needs when they live on a college campus. This video is from a podcast called Autism Goes to College, where they discuss living with autism in college.
How would you describe the social side of your first year?
It's definitely a little bit difficult because, especially with living with someone that's different from me, it was hard to get adjusted. And also, in general, it was just hard for me to make friends. I would be the one usually to introduce myself and be friendly, but however, people don't reciprocate, which leads me to a lot of loneliness and isolation.
People with ASD often have a hard time understanding social cues and or social settings, initiating interactions, and maintaining relationships. They're often misunderstood, being seen as awkward, intense, or rude. They also tend to have low social energy, causing them to need to recharge by themselves. Students with ASD often aren't communicated their post-graduation options effectively during high school. Individualized education plans, or IEPs, are used to assist students with learning disabilities in a classroom setting. IEPs can help in a variety of ways, such as more time on tests, recording lectures, or taking frequent breaks. On average, students with ASD are more likely to have a parent with them during their IEP meetings. However, they are less likely to have their interests discussed, as well as options for post-graduation. This is a chart comparing students with ASD and other learning disabilities during their IEP meetings. There are accommodations available for students with learning disorders like ASD. However, these students often can't or don't know how to advocate for themselves to get the resources they need. Also, these resources often don't assist them in all the areas they require. They don't usually account for time management skills, sudden independence, or any social skills they need to succeed in college. This video is also from Autism Goes to College. They're discussing what this professor uses in her classroom to make it more welcoming.
There's so many who won't reach out for assistance or are afraid to, or the stigma, and that I learned it was really important to incorporate a lesson at the early parts of the semester for students to discuss learning styles, and that you may or may not realize that the way you think you learn best, it could be better in another way, and that might be there might be a reason behind that. And when we can start that conversation as an open conversation, then when it gets brought in a little bit more like, oh, if you're noticing this, you might want to come talk to me so that I can help support you better, then those conversations can increase in a positive way, and then have more of those private conversations of, hey, I'm noticing this in your learning. Whereas if they hadn't ever had that conversation started, they may never bring it up. They may never say anything. And so that was another part of with the course for me. It was like, oh, how do I bring it in early so that they're willing to have the conversation with